Go
and
ahead.
rolling.
Go ahead.
What? He was supposed to go first, he
All
said.
right, okay. I'm Mike McCue, this is my friend Nick Sachvie, and we're here talking squash out of courts. I'm from Sudbury, Ontario, originally. I've been playing squash since I was 10 years old, been playing professionally since I was about 19. My current world ranking is 97, and my highest was 81 a little earlier this year.
I'm from St. Catharines, Ontario, currently live in Toronto. Been playing squash since I was pretty much born. Grew up in a squash family. Currently ranked 100, highest ranking is 64. There's so many, to be honest. There's a lot of offside ones I don't want to mention. But I'd say the team events end up being the most fun experiences. So, you know, representing Team Canada, especially just the guys, or even we were at Pan Am's and Cayman's a couple weeks ago, and it just ends up being some ridiculous and hilarious moments there. But I'd say worlds, like world men's teams, we had some pretty hilarious moments, especially when you get guys like Sean Deliere, who's a legend, you know, does some crazy things. I can't really think of anything specific, but yeah, it's just crazy times on tour, always, really.
I think I know a perfect story from what you're talking about. We're at the World Teams this past December in France, and it was the very last day of the tournament. We were playing for 13th place, I think it was, which might seem inconsequential, but you know, it's every match matters, and you're playing for your country. And we were playing Wales, and I believe Nick had lost 3-love in the first match, actually, and put us down 1-love in a 3-man team match. So that's a not good position to be in. And as we were saying, Sean went on right after that, and Sean's such a good team player, such a clutch performer in those situations, and he was playing this younger guy from Wales who's a good player but a little bit inexperienced. And after an hour of, you know, crazy random grinding squash, Sean was up 2-love. We were looking good. And he came off after the second game and just in a panic was saying, my wrist is broken, I literally can't hit the ball, I don't know what I'm going to do, I can't go back on and play. And we're coaching between games saying, Sean, we're down 1-love in the match, you can't stop, like you have to try and finish this match, there's no other option. And he's such a good teammate, you know, he's so thoughtful, he's okay, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to do my best. And he goes out for the next 2 games and hits the ball, no offense to him, but basically like he's never played squash before. He's hitting the ball like this, you know, trying to hit the ball backwards on the return of serve, loses the 3rd and 4th games, 11-2, 11-2.
And at this point, the physio taped his hand to the racket, so he's holding the racket, it's taped, it's glued in.
For better or worse, he couldn't. And so he comes off after the 4th game, it's tied 2-all, and of course if, you know, we lose that match, the whole fixture is over, because it's 3 guys. And so John, you got to try and find something within yourself, like you've done this so many times in your career, what kind of magic can you come up with, do it for the team, leave it all out there. And he goes out, and as the game goes on, literally with the racket taped to his hand like it's his first time ever playing squash, as the game goes on, he just gets this surge of like patriotism and adrenaline and starts hitting the ball as hard as he can all of a sudden after not even being able to get it to the front wall for 2 games. And he's behind the whole game. Both teams, you know, both the Welsh bench and our bench are going nuts because it's this incredibly serious match, but there's totally comedic element to it. Like, it's hard to really take seriously. And this young kid's up, you know, 8-5, 9-6, kind of inching towards the end, and Sean just somehow, without really being able to hit the ball or move properly, just keeps winning points, getting strokes, no lets, cheap little winners here and there, diving all over the place. He ends up saving 4 or 5 match balls, and I felt bad for the Welsh guy he was playing because he just could not finish the match off. He had so many opportunities. And about 30 minutes later, Sean won, I think it was 17-15 in the 5th. Everyone goes crazy, not sure whether to laugh or cry. And that tied it at 1-1, and sure enough, Andrew went on and duly won the decider 3-2, and we became 13th against Wales. And I, you know, couldn't believe, you know, you think growing up, you're playing in the World Team Championships, it's going to be so unbelievably intense and serious, and meanwhile Sean's out there just making a circus of it and is very successful at it. So that's one of my best and funniest squash memories of recent times.
I think there's one thing people don't realize, maybe how much we're by ourselves, because it's such an individual sport. Like, a lot of people think of these team sports, and you're always with your teammates training, doing, big team element to it, whereas we're kind of by ourselves all the time, traveling alone. Squash is something you can practice by yourself on court, hitting the ball in the gym, whatever, right? I think on that side of it, it's like very internal, and you're working towards obviously getting better, but a lot of times you're by yourself, and in that setting it can be, your own little bubble. It's a bit unique, I think, in that sense.
And yeah, I mean, maybe somewhat similar to what Nick's saying, is just finding I think one of the biggest challenges is finding the sustained motivation to keep training and keep playing tournaments and truly giving a maximum effort and always pushing forward, even when you haven't been having short-term success, or maybe when your body or your mind isn't completely, motivated every morning when you wake up to go in and punish yourself and be working on your weaknesses, and always be kind of, vigilant about your training and striving to push forward. It's anybody can do it for a day, a week, a month, even a year, but over the course of a professional squash career, which can be 10 plus years, you can't really have any major lapses in effort and motivation and discipline if you always want to be pushing forward. And I think that's something that one of the skills that the top players all possess that I think is admirable, that is maybe underappreciated, is that discipline to just always be improving themselves, always searching for new angles to improve their game, to improve their physicality, improve their mental side. And just being able to wake up every morning at 8 a.m. when your body's destroyed, from the week's training. Your mind is maybe a little bit preoccupied with other things. You haven't been having good results, but ultimately you have no choice. You have to get in and still find that internal motivation and drive to always be pushing to improve, and always be looking to be a better version of yourself than you were a day, a week, a month, a year ago. And that's very challenging over time, and I think that's probably something the general public maybe doesn't realize. It's not necessarily the immediate effort or the physical toll taken in one day of training or one match. It's being able to sort of synthesize that and continue pushing forward constantly at all times, which becomes harder and harder as you get older. I think that's maybe an underappreciated element to the pro squash game.
So I got here my Hero bag with my goods. These are my new kicks this season, the new gel blades. These ones are actually brand new, haven't been worn yet. But yeah, I like these shoes because they're flat to the ground. They kind of got like an indoor soccer feel to them, but I like my shoe really flat and lightweight. It's pretty hard to find a durable shoe, I find, for me, but Asics has always been pretty classy shoe. It's one of the favorites in the squash world. Yeah, so these babies will be sticking with me all season. And then in my racket, my racket bag here, I got my custom Hero rackets I got last year. I'm really good friends with the guys in Hero Canada, and they kind of promised me if I won nationals in 2017, they'd make me a racket. End up going through about 6 months later, and yeah, I've been using this for it's actually a Hero Vibe, just custom paint job and everything, and I've been using this for just over a year now. And a string, I use Technifiber, so I'm sponsored by Control the T, which is another racket company just like this, and I get my shoes from them and my string from them. And I actually have my own stringer machine in Toronto, so I love my own tension. I keep it the same all the time. My machine's a little bit looser, but I usually string these at about 25 pounds, so I like mine a little bit looser with some pop on them. And yeah, it does the job. I use the thicker Technifiber string as well, just because I cut the ball and I hit it really hard, so I don't like to be stringing my rackets every few days, basically. That's all.
All right, slightly bigger bag than Nick. I actually got all my luggage in here right now as well. But equipment-wise, actually wearing the exact same shoe as Nick right now, the new version of the Asics gel blade for the season. Again, fantastic shoe, super lightweight, definitely like a performance shoe versus durability and support. Super low to the ground. You can really feel your feet on the floor. I'm a little bit heavy on my feet naturally, so you know, I definitely need, you know, as little extra weight as possible. So I've really been enjoying these after breaking them in for a week or two. I've always worn Asics for, you know, the last 6 or 7 years, and you know, to me it is still the high standard in squash shoes. And then racket-wise, still using the Hero Spark. Been probably using this for 4 or 5 seasons now, a couple different versions of it. It's a pretty balanced frame, really. I think it's about 130, 135 grams strong, not particularly head heavy or head light. I've got the Technofiber 17 gauge in there as well, at about 26 or 27 pounds. I definitely enjoy the feeling of a slightly looser strung racket going into a tournament, getting that little extra bit of pop on the ball compared to feeling a little bit tighter maybe in training for the control. And of course the classic yellow caracal grip. I think that's a lot of people's favorite. Then in terms of other equipment in here, I've got some workout bands. Won't go through all of them, but these are pretty essential for, you know, recovery before and after matches. Little, you know, activating some of the smaller muscle groups, and instead of doing weights all the time, which can be pretty strenuous, I've been you know, using these a little bit more lately. And yeah, pretty much it for the equipment. Been sponsored by Hero for a number of years now, and like Nick, control the tee as well, which we really appreciate. I mean, very generous to have. You know, it can be a little difficult acquiring string and shoe sponsors if the company that the racket company we're sponsored by doesn't necessarily make them. So that's been a fantastic help over the last couple of seasons for sure.
I'm Nick Sachvie, and this is Mike McCue talking squash at Of Courts. Thanks for having us in here, and we love the Nash Cup. Definitely be coming back year's time.
Yeah, great story, guys. We got here our first time in here. Fantastic to see another, you know, successful racket retailer still in bricks and mortar fashion. That's awesome. Serving the London area and around. And yeah, great to be here for the Nash Cup. It's one of the best PSA tournaments on the calendar of any size, and that's why, you know, it draws such a strong field every year, and we love coming back. Thanks a lot.